to always keep your access on eCampus, selalu masuk eCampus, so that whatever it is whatever information being delivered, lecture and everything, kita memang akan sentiasa, we will always be recording everything and all the information will always be there. Alright, apart from asking me personally or discussion in our groups, right? eCampus is also one of the good platform for you to find the information, the pre-recorded video, and also instruction for assignment. Okay, so talking about assignment, this week I'm going to give you your first assignment, which is individual presentation. All right, so before we move on, all right, okay, before I explain to you about the assignment, I'm just gonna start off with the lecture first, all right? Because kita tunggu bila the rest of you have already entered, macam Cik Jamal, maybe Teacher An is coming. So kalau tak nanti kalau start dulu dengan assignment nanti banyak soalan miss pula kan. So we just begin everything with lecture first, okay? Alright, I'm gonna share my screen. Alright, so for this week topics, alright, we'll be talking about mindful listening. Okay, of course, when we talk about interpersonal communication, we know that communicating personally not doesn't only involve we talking, bukan saja melibatkan percakapan, the act of communicating, but also the act of receiving, alright, by means of listening, alright, dengan mendengar. Right, by the mean of listening and also talking as well and also communicating as well, right? So the communication process will have a dual perspective, alright? So kita akan ada satu give and take kind of process, okay? Alright, so listening, okay, can be also divided or can also be explained in the word hearing as well, alright? Whereas hearing is a physiological activity that involves sound wave hitting our eardrum. So technically, alright, when we hear the term listening, we also will be familiar, kita juga akan familiar dengan term hearing as well. But hearing is actually a more of a technical term, right, that explains the process of sound wave hitting our eardrums, right? So through the sound wave, you're gonna have all the information, all the messages being delivered to us, all right? And listening itself is an active, complex process that consists of being mindful, all right? Physically receiving messages, all right? Physically receiving messages ni is the act of the hearing, di mana sound wave itu, all right, we will hit our eardrum, selecting and organizing messages, and also interpreting messages, responding, and also remembering. So when we have the act of listening happening, all right, first of all right, we must be in the state of being mindful. Okay, being mindful here maksudnya being fully present at the moment. All right, why we use the term mindful? Because sometimes we are physically there, but our mind is not there. Right. Therefore, being mindful means you are physically and also mindfully being there. All right. Other than that, physically receiving the message. All right. And then of course, apabila kita mendengar, when we listen, we will be selecting and organizing messages. Not everything being uttered or being spoken for me right now is important. For example, so you will be selective in terms of the information that you want to have, you want to process, you want to interpret, you want to respond, and also you would like to remember. All right. Looking at this Chinese character, all right, this is a Chinese character. Um, the character is pronounced as ting, something like that, ting, all right, ting, which means listening, all right. But looking at the character itself, all right, Chinese character ni dia tak macam kita spell A, B, C, D, E, alif, bata, saji, ma, kha, da, za. Chinese character is more of a symbol. Dibuat daripada symbol. Okay, so way back then, this is a traditional Chinese character. Okay, traditional Chinese character ni, they are consisting of a symbol of, let's say kalau kita, when we talk about listening, dia akan resemble ears. When we talk about speaking, dia akan resemble mouth. Tapi walaupun ni tak nampak berbentuk telinga ataupun mulut, but then it started off way back then, masa orang mula-mula buat simbol tu, then they will keep on improving and improving until they got the new form, the latest form that we are using right now. Alright. So listening itself, kalau kita tengok daripada Chinese character ni, consists of three main component. Alright. 3 pembentukan character, di mana first character adalah ears, second character eyes, the third character heart. Alright, so when you listen, alright, you will also be listening from your ears, alright. You will also be listening from your eyes. Doesn't mean that we listen through bukannya sound wave tu masuk ikut mata, but then we give full concentration, alright, when we listen, alright, by using our eye contact, alright, and also we listen by our heart, which means that you are opening your heart, you are being mindful, you are being present at the moment. Okay, jadi di situ terhasilnya karakter perkataan think tersebut. Okay. Alright, the listening process itself involve a few listening itself involve a few processes. Okay, kita ada beberapa proses dalam listening. Number one is mindfulness. Okay, whereby you are paying complete attention. Okay, not just the body is there, your mind, alright, your mind are also there and paying full attention, being there, paying full concentration, listening and also responding. Okay, physically receiving messages, alright. This one is quite similar to the term hearing, whereby you will be receiving the sound wave. Alright, the sound wave will hit your eardrums. Okay, so physically, secara physicalnya, secara technicalnya, this is you are physically receiving sound wave. Alright, selecting and organizing material. Okay, not everything being spoken ataupun being heard in our environment are important. Sometimes when we go into classes, alright, sometimes when we talk with our managers, employers, bosses and things like that, kadang-kadang ada benda tu melawak je, gurau je, not important, cakap pasal bola ke, cakap pasal semalam hujan lebat ke, cakap pasal tadi you bump into an old friend ke. So those things are not that very important, and then you will try to select and also organize which material that you should really, it's not that you are not concentrating, but which material really matters to be memorized and also to be responded to. Alright, and the next one,
Sorry sir,
yes, sorry.
teacher An nak masuk, dia kata tak accept.
Oh, okay. Ada ikut teacher An. Oh, okay, teacher An dah ada dah. Saya ikut teacher An. Sorry.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah. Okay, may I continue? Oh,
Okay.
tak apa. Alright, thank you. Alright, where were we? Okay, interpretation. Okay, so when we interpret, alright, of course, almost the same as selecting and also organizing material. Alright, you will be interpreting, alright, the information. Alright, sometimes it will be based on your knowledge. Alright, sometimes it will be based on your judgment. Sometimes it will only be based on your preference. Kadang-kadang kita interpret the message tu. That's why sometimes miscommunication or misinterpretation happen, because whatever it is that we are interpreting, it is solely based on our own judgment. Right? And then another process in listening will be responding, of course. All right, it can be in verbal or non-verbal kind of form. All right. Okay, alright, sorry, saya miss tadi. Okay, sorry. Saya terlepaskan ni. Physically receiving messages. Okay, so when we physically receiving messages, sometimes, alright, because this is a technical process, eardrums hitting your ears, sometimes you're gonna face a few obstacles. Okay, saya balik pada yang ni. Sorry, saya termiss tadi. Alright, kadang-kadang ada beberapa halangan when we are physically receiving messages. Alright, number one, of course, it can be in terms of hearing impairment. Alright, for those who are unlucky, being born with hearing impairments or having difficulty with their hearing, okay, they have to use hearing aids. Okay, sometimes it can be because of fatigue. Alright, balik letih, drive jauh, tadi kerja leceh, kena marah dengan puas kau something. Alright, you come back, you are mentally and physically exhausted, fatigue, because of fatigue, so we cannot like give full concentration to listening. Alright, and of course sometimes it is because of the background noise. Okay, background noise, loud music, children crying, children playing outside. All right, if your house are too near or too close to the roadside, bunyi lori, bunyi kereta and everything. All right. Sometimes there are also assumption, ada beberapa assumption ataupun anggapan di mana when you physically receive message, all right, men and women tend to be different. Okay, for example, all right, men, they tend to focus more on specific content. Whereas for women, they are more attentive and listen to the whole communication process. So sometimes ada anggapan bahawa lelaki ni dia being selective, dia give concentration tapi dia concentrate only on main points. For example, bila contoh kita tanya Marka, kita girlfriend ke wife ke nak pergi makan kat mana. So the wife will explain, contoh pasangan kita akan cakap, hari tu dah makan dah ayam penyet, tapi hari ni tak tahulah, rasa macam chicken chop pun sedap, tapi Kenny Rogers tak pergi lagi. So the man will ignore, okay, hari tu makan apa hari ni. What's more important is apa yang dia nak cakap sekarang ni. Sekarang ni kita nak pergi makan kat mana. Whereas kalau woman, alright, sayang, abang rasa nak tahulah nak makan apa lunch ni. Hari tu kan kita dah makan Kenny Rogers, hari tu sedap kan Kenny Rogers, ayam penyet dah makan. Betul bang. Apa kata kita try something very new. Macam mana kalau kita pergi McDonald pula? McDonald ni mana baru bang? Apa kata? So they tend to be hearing the whole communication process, and then they tend to be attentive. Pay a lot of attention to what it is that the partner or the person they are talking to are saying to them. Okay. Alright. When we, saya berbalik kepada interpreting communication. So when we interpret communication, alright, sometimes we have to be person-centered, alright, so that we're gonna have that dual perspective. Akan ada dual perspective happening when we listen, of course, because when we listen, alright, the other party or the other partner will also expect a response, right? So we have to be person-centered, whereby we understand another person's perspective on their terms, ataupun dalam in a layman terms, kalau kata mudahnya, we walk in their shoes, okay? Because sometimes setengah orang ni dia suka cakap tu beating around the bush. Dia pergi main corner pusing, corner ni baru dia sampai tempat tu. Sometimes some people they like to be straightforward. So we have to be attentive of how they are communicating. Okay, jangan kita when the person is beating around the bush, kita pun get very annoyed, get intimidated, kita pun show a very not good kind of non-verbal expression, buat muka ke, buat suara ke, not listening ke, for example. So if you want to be a good listener, okay, try to adapt, all right, to the person's style of communication, all right. And then sometimes, okay, in a dual perspective kind of communication process, all right, so you have to also interpret whatever it is being mentioned by the other person, all right, not just using your interpretation, okay, but also try to understand what is actually trying to be delivered. Apabila orang tu dia cakap pun tak berapa nak clear what is the messages, what you can do is you can prompt question. Alright, prompt question. Can you repeat that for me? Sorry, I don't understand what you are saying just now. Ataupun kita paraphrase balik. So you are saying that you prefer to go to Kenny Rogers rather than what you call that? Lupa lah nama restoran tu, Peri-Peri tu. Tak apalah, lupalah. Other than going to ada fast food restaurant, for example. Alright. And then of course responding, alright, when we listen, alright, the person who are talking, when we listen, they are also expecting us to respond. So it can be verbal or non-verbal. And of course, when we listen, we tend to remember, alright. But because previously we have been selecting, organizing and interpreting, sometimes benda yang kita ingat tu tak semua pun. Of course, kita takkan 100% remember, alright, verbatim. Verbatim ni maksudnya word by word, alright. We'll be selecting only important points. Okay, contoh, for example, teacher Ann when she's teaching her students, of course, student tu takkan tulis every single word lah. Alright, so akan ada certain aspects, certain points which I consider as very important, alright, yang boleh come out into exam, for example, that they will jot down and also remember. Alright, so there are a few obstacles ataupun halangan to mindful listening. Okay, kalau tadi halangan kepada listening berbentuk macam insan-insan istimewa yang tidak boleh mendengar, letih, keletihan, ataupun ada let's say a lot of noise, okay. But then ada juga obstacles towards mindful listening, meaning that walaupun kita berada di tempat tu, walaupun kita mendengar, kita sebenarnya tak pun mendengar actually. Alright, so some of the external obstacles, it can be divided into two, external and internal. Alright, luaran dan juga dalaman. Sorry, maafkan saya. Number one is message overload. Alright, meaning that we cannot take in all communication with the same level of mindfulness. Okay, walaupun kita rasa kita ni dah ready, kita dah bersedia, kita are being attentive, kita are being mindful when listening. Okay, sometimes when the message is too much, for example, we are talking about contoh kita tengah berbincang pasal urusan jual beli tanah ke, kita tengah berbincang tentang masalah negara ke, for example, message overload will keep on coming. Alright, and it will cause us to be not uninterested, but then tend to cakap apa, tak pick up the main important things yang trying to be delivered ataupun benda-benda penting tu kita miss. Sebenarnya itu benda-benda penting ni kita miss because the message is too overload. Message ni sangat berat untuk kita digest lah. For example, kalau kita cakap pasal ini nak makan apa, nak gimana tu biasalah. Nothing much lah. Benda tu senang nak digest. Kalau kita cakap pasal let's say tengah bincang urusan perkahwinan, nak bincang mas kahwin ke apa, something like that, this is a very kind of heavy issue. Kita sometimes we tend to miss a few important point or important matters. Alright, sometimes it can also be in terms of message complexity. Okay, information tu too detail. Okay, too detail. Kita nak beli kereta tapi information yang kita dapat tu sampai ke let's say minyak hitam apa pakai ke, brand apa pakai ke, tayar tubeless brand apa, berapa measurement tayar. Whereas when we go to buy a car, usually we're gonna ask only for brand, berapa cc, berapa horsepower, color apa available, spec apa, itu je. Alright, but when the information is too detailed, kita akan jadi macam tadi lah, dia jadi information overload. Alright, or there are too many technical terms. Alright, contoh when we deal with doctors or those who are in the medical field, okay, terms ubatan, for example, medical terms about the type of diseases, for example, jargons, okay, jargon, bahasa-bahasa yang special untuk bidang tu saja. Alright, so we tend to be lost in connection. Orang cakap dulu lah, lost in connection lah. For example, sebelum coronavirus ni mungkin kita tak biasa dengan term pandemic, endemic, what else? Benda-benda yang booster kan, booster for example, kalau vaksin tu dah biasa dah. Let's say now we are talking about boosters. Booster ni apa? Penggalak. Sudah nak jadi galak apa dah for example, right? But now when we are in the era of endemic right now, kita dah familiar dengan, not saying familiar, we are already living in this kind of world, so we are already taking all the jargons, medical jargons related to COVID-19 virus, alright? And if let's say the message have too many connection, maknanya orang ni cakap dia macam orang Penang, macam bullet tembak, non-stop, alright? Too many connection, there's no dots, there's no pauses, susah kita nak connect all the information, alright? And of course, noises, alright? So noises can be verbal, alright, or non-verbal stimuli in the environment. Okay? For example, alright, when we heard noises of music, alright, noises of people talking, ataupun when we are talking to someone, somebody is also interrupting, alright, or when we are talking to someone, sometimes kita tengah cakap ni, bunyi orang bersin, for example, non-verbal kind of cues lah, non-verbal stimuli, alright? Stimuli here means whatever it is that has attracted our attention. Those are stimulus, right? Okay. And then it can also be in terms of internal obstacle ataupun berbentuk halangan dalaman. Siapa cakap ni? Alright, tak ada. Okay, sorry. Alright, so there are 5 terms of internal obstacles. Number 1 is preoccupation. Okay. Alright, preoccupation here means that when we are so caught up with what is happening with us, that we forget to pay careful attention to what is happening in our interaction with another person or people. Okay, for example, kita kat office kena marah, bos marah, bising, bos semua kerja tak siap, kerja lambat and everything. Then you go back, alright? Suddenly your wife comes to you and say, alright, this is today is our son's birthday. Apa kata kita keluar makan-makan ke, nak pakai baju apa, pakailah baju lawa sikit, saya nak pakai baju kurung kali ni. So kita pun dah tak kisah lah, we are preoccupied with what we have experienced just now, kan? Masalah-masalah yang, it's not masalah lah, I mean the things that were happening back then in the office, okay, we brought them into our mindset, we brought them back home, alright? So when we are listening to our wife for example, or husband for example, kita dah preoccupied, kita dah tak boleh nak listen too much, ataupun kita dah tak boleh nak pay full attention to our partners, okay? And then we have prejudgment, alright? When we think we know what others are going to say before they say it, or we tune them out because we believe they have nothing to offer. Okay, for example, apabila kita when we interact with people, alright, and then kita ni tend to be, we tend to cut off the conversation. Kita potong percakapan tu sebab sometimes kita ada tendency untuk kita agak apa yang dia cakap, ataupun kita rasa kita tahu apa the next thing yang dia akan cakap. Alright, for example dia kata, hari ni tak makan lunch, hari ni kita tak pernah pergi makan yang penyet. Betul dan kita pun sebelum the options come, we dah potong. Jomlah kita pergi makan benda lain pula, asyik ayam penyet je bosan and everything. For example, alright. Ataupun in certain situation, alright, we think that whatever it is that they are saying is not important. So we have that kind of prejudgment. Okay, apa saja, let's say apa saja yang for example anak buah kita cakap kan, sebab budak-budak ke for example ataupun anak kita cakap, alright, we think it's not important. Budak-budak baby apa is not that important. So we already have that prejudgment, right, that we believe that they actually have nothing to offer. Apa saja dia cakap tu not important. Okay, and then reacting to emotionally loaded language. Alright, the tendency to react to words that evoke strong responses is either positive or negative. Okay, emotionally reacting to loaded language ni, for example, when we heard perkataan-perkataan yang loaded language ni yang very strong. Okay, for example, perkataan-perkataan yang kasar, alright, kalau negatif lah. Kalau perkataan-perkataan yang bagus, yang positif macam let's say you look so beautiful today. So we tend to be more attentive ataupun we tend to be less attentive kadang-kadang sebab kita rasa macam tak ikhlas puji, for example, right? One particular simple example that we can use to represent loaded language is when we see political kind of political kind of speeches ataupun political kind of campaigns ataupun political figures. Okay, sometimes, alright, we are being open. Okay, saya being open. Sometimes ada political figures yang dia suka pakai loaded language, strong language yang positif. Sometimes ada yang suka pakai strong language yang negatif. Alright, example of strong language yang positif, for example, alright, if you choose me, kalau anda mengundi saya berjanji saya akan menyelesaikan masalah air di tempat anda. Bila kita trigger dengar je masalah air, alright, that is the loaded language that we want to hear. Alright, then we will tend to be more attentive. Alright, but then sometimes kita akan jadi less attentive because it is the same thing that they have mentioned. Okay, alright. But then sometimes apabila ada orang yang they like to use negative loaded language, for example ada political figures yang suka use term-term yang very racist, very racial kind of terms, religion, sentuh agama, sentuh race, sentuh nationality, for example. Okay, bagi orang yang rasa benda ni negatif, alright, they will tend to just ignore you. Alright, but then bagi orang yang rasa benda ni positif, alright, it will gain their attention. Alright, so these are some of example of loaded language. Okay, and then lack of effort, of course, lack of effort ni malah nak layan kan, letih, rasa benda tak penting, almost the same as prejudgment and also preoccupation. Okay, and then failure to adapt listening style, because like I've mentioned just now, different people got different style. Sometimes ada seorang ni kalau term muda-muda dulu kat sekolah orang panggil lambat pick up. Dia nak cakap sekali tak faham, cakap dua kali tak faham, cakap tiga kali baru faham. Setengah orang cakap dua ayat dia tak boleh nak catch lagi. So you need to explain the whole thing. So right, so we ourselves as a good speaker and also a good listener try to adapt to their listening style as well. Okay? Right. Other than that, there are also some forms of non-listening ataupun ada beberapa bentuk apa now in Malay, how we say non-listening, tidak mendengar. Alright, we don't listen. Right, number one is pseudo listening. Alright, pseudo listening is meaning that you are just pretending. Alright, pretending to listen. Alright, pseudo itself means that you are not actually doing the action. Okay, pseudo listening. Benda tak menarik, benda tak penting. Okay, masuk kelas, okay, buka, duduklah depan tu, dengar je lah, but then your mind is not there. Ataupun sometimes buka dua tab, satu kelas, satu lagi buka YouTube. Okay, kita pakai earphone, alright, mic tutup, dengar je lah, alright, something like that. Alright, okay, and then monopolizing, alright, whereby you constantly trying to redirect the communication back to yourself, alright, and your concern without giving others the opportunity to complete their thoughts. Okay, alright, for example, kawan kita mengadu dengan kita, aduh kereta aku last week rosak pula lah, padahal baru je pakai sebulan. And then suddenly kita cakap, kereta aku pun sama, kereta aku pakai 3 bulan dah rosak dah ni. Alright, starting from a conversation whereby kawan tu yang mengadu kat kita pula pergi mengadu kat dia. Pada asalnya kita tak ada intention untuk to tell anything about our cars pun. Alright, this is monopolizing. Kita redirect the main attention, alright, from the person who are talking to you, and to you suddenly. Okay. And then selective listening, you focus only on certain aspect of a conversation, either those with which we do not agree or those that do not interest us at the moment. For example, kita tengah bercakap pasal urusan jual beli kereta, alright, kita salesman, alright. When we entertain our customer, biasalah customer dia akan borak. Alright, sometimes dia akan tanya, cik asal mana? Oh ya ke? Saya pun. But then kita akan terus cut off lah. Okay, so jadi spek kereta ni akan jadi macam ni. Oh ya ke? Cik sini pakai kereta apa? Saya pakai Wira. Tapi kan cik, kalau cik beli, so we try to cut off the things that we think are not important, alright, and then we try to redirect back and continue to things that we think only important, alright, only take our interest and also only matters to us. Okay. And then defensive listening, whereby we assume the message has negative connotation even though it is not the intention of the speaker. Sometimes kita ada kawan-kawan yang suka condemn. Okay, masuk kerja ini or you go to classes, kalau jumpa tu ada je benda tak kena, ada je contoh, sorry. Oh, okay. Mr. Jamal message, tak apalah. Alright, don't worry. Okay, Mr. Jamal. Sorry, dia cakap dia tak nak masuk line terus. Okay, Mr. Jamal. Tak apa, saya dah record. Maybe I should share the link to him. Kejap. Let me just share the link to him. The Google Meet link. Dia tak nak masuk eCampus. Biasalah hujan-hujan ni kan, kalau kena pakai line telefon ke ataupun line yang not landed kind of line, dia memang akan kacau lah sikit. Pakai landed line macam Unify ke, okay, no problem, insyaAllah. Right, okay, done. Okay, where were we? Defensive listening, okay. So apabila kita ada kawan-kawan yang suka condemn ni lah, sikit-sikit ada je tak kena. Kita pakai hari ni gelap sangat, pakai baju cerah esok cerah sangat, tak kena dengan skin tone. So the next time when we meet this person, okay, bila kita jumpa je dia, kita dah macam okay, ready dah, dia ni nak bantai aku ni. Dia ni adalah benda nak complain ni, padahal maybe kawan tu cakap, kau free tak? Jom pergi makan, aku belanja. Ataupun maybe that day mood dia baik ke, dia nak share something, ataupun maybe on that day suddenly apa yang kita pakai kena dengan pandangan dia, so dia nak puji you, but then because of he being like that, dah selalu sangat dah condemn you, so you will tend to be defensively listening. Sometimes kadang-kadang apabila kita masuk kelas, cikgu ke lecturer kita yang tak habis-habis complain, tak suka kerja kita, so at one time apabila datangnya satu momen yang dia suka kerja kita akan rasa macam ni adalah ni benda tak puas hati lagi ni, something like that. Okay, and then ambushing, alright, whereby we listen for opportunities to attack the other person. Usually benda ni kalau kita selalu tengok parlimen lah, for example kan, ambushing always happen. Okay, macam baru ni saya ada tengok satu clip on Facebook ke kat YouTube, I didn't remember, Syed Saddiq lah, YB Syed Saddiq, dia menegaskan bahawa penukaran our official car from Proton to Toyota Wildfire adalah satu bentuk pembaziran, and then kita ni dah membuang duit rakyat and everything. And then Tengku Zafrul pun try to defend his stand, okay, and then baling Aziz Rahim pun bangun, berhentilah YB, kalau YB dekat parlimen pun YB naik juga, nanti dapat Wildfire, berhentilah. So you listen for opportunities to ambush that particular person. Okay, alright. And then last one is literal listening. Okay, literal listening means here you are ignoring the relational level of meaning. Alright, when we communicate, when we listen, okay, when literal happen, you only listen for context and ignoring the relationship. Apa yang penting dalam literal listening ni bagi orang yang experience literal listening is content ataupun information. Alright, but the relationship ataupun perhubungan you dengan orang yang you communicate at that time doesn't matter. Okay, take this particular excerpt for example. When I found out that I had to have wrist surgery, I told my boss and said I be needing some time off. Saya kena bedah saya punya pergelangan tangan ni bos. Boleh tak saya nak minta cuti sikit, nak minta MC, alright, maybe for a few days so that I can recover. He listen. Okay, bos kita dengar. And then explain the policy on sick leave. Okay, you nak cuti, okay macam ni. You kena apply cuti ni, okay. Pergi HR, okay, 3 hari je boleh. Tapi sekarang kan kita boleh meeting online. Jadi you bawa lah laptop, okay. Tapi masa you ni nanti make sure after you come back you are refreshed, okay. Sebab ada beberapa projek yang kita terpaksa tinggal, okay. So right now saya akan sign dulu surat ni berapa hari you nak, 5 hari, okay. Tak apa. you pergi HR, you apply, hantar surat ni, saya dah job. He didn't say he was worried. Ask if I was worried, tell me he hope the surgery was successful, nothing. Alright. So being literal maknanya dekat situ when we ask for MC, bos tu akan cerita pasal okay, nak minta MC ni prosedur dia, berapa hari boleh dapat. Okay, nanti masa MC apa you boleh buat, apa tak boleh buat, itu saja. Kalau if we are good listener, apabila somebody told us this kind of situation, oh ya ke? Kenapa dengan lengan awak? Berapa lama dah awak sakit macam ni? Saya tak pernah tahu pun kenapa. Tak pernah beritahu. Saya ni selalu hantar awak pergi site. Saya ingat awak sihat. Betul awak beritahu. Saya rasa mungkin effect because awak pergi site kot angkat barang banyak. Next time kalau awak ada apa-apa masalah kesihatan everything, please mention to us so that we will not burden you with health problems. Okay, tak apa. Ni saya suka. Okay, you apply leave. So dekat situ ada relational level. Adalah orang cakap sense of humanity, compassion, adalah rasa orang cakap apa? Prihatin, kesian dekat situ. Okay, so when we literally listen, kita tak ada benda-benda tu. Kita straight to the point. Only the important matters. Not MC, berapa hari boleh bagi. That's it. Okay, alright. Alright, when we want to adapt, alright, we adapt listening to communication goals. Okay, kita akan orang cakap apa, mengamalkan atau adapt to listening, being mindful in listening to achieve a few communication goals, untuk mencapai beberapa objektif ataupun goals in communication. Alright, sometimes we listen for pleasure. Okay, of course, when you listen for pleasure, you will be hearing for listening to music ke, listening to ceramah ke, for example, listening to motivational talk ke. Those are listening for pleasure. Even when you are talking to your partner or to your children, right? If it pleases you, right? If it helps you to calm down, it helps you to be entertained, all right? That is also listen for pleasure, all right? Sometimes you also listen for not sometimes, almost all the time, we listen for information, all right? So when you listen for information, again, please be mindful. Do not let your mind wander around, all right? Control obstacles yang saya cakap sebelum ni, all right? Control noise, alright, or other psychological distraction. For example, kalau you come back from home, you come back from work, you are very exhausted, sangat letih, tak boleh nak concentrate when your partner is speaking. Maybe you can just say, okay, sayang, can you wait for me for a while? I'm going to go and take a shower, clean myself up, alright, and then we can continue this conversation, for example. So control the obstacles that are happening around you, alright. Ask question. Kalau kita rasa kita tak faham ataupun kita rasa dia tak faham, alright, try to ask question. Can you please repeat whatever you are saying just now? Sorry, I didn't get you just now because of the noise, alright. Can you please repeat your question, for example, okay? And use aids to recall. Okay, aids ni, bantuan ni, alright, of course sometimes it can be in terms of technological aids ataupun gadget kind of aids, okay? Kita boleh guna voice recorder, record dengan phone. Right, sometimes it can be very traditional. Kita boleh take notes. Right, sometimes it can also be in process of learning. For example, we use mnemonic. Okay, mnemonic whereby kita guna singkatan kepada beberapa words. Okay, for example, take Mahat Muhammadi lelaki, MML, ataupun Sekolah Menengah Sains Tunku Abdullah Semesta. So those are mnemonic, alright, whereby it can help us to recall, alright. And of course, organize information. Janganlah put everything in our storage, alright, nanti kita lupa. Alright, so try to organize apa yang important, apa yang less important, apa yang boleh you kind of like can throw away from your memory, apa that you need to store in your memory. For example, birthday wife, birthday husband, benda-benda tu tak boleh lupa kan. Tapi kalau benda-benda yang not that important, you can always put that aside, okay? Alright, and then we also listen to support others, okay? Of course, be mindful, okay? In every parts of listening process, always be mindful, alright? Be careful of expressing judgment apabila kita respond back. Alright, berhati-hati apabila kita express judgment because just sometimes judgment can be misinterpreted, okay? Understand the other person's perspective, alright? Alright, if you don't understand the other person's perspective, alright, always try to paraphrase. When you're, let's say, when a partner of you atau kawan kita tengah cakap apa, so you just paraphrase back. Oh, jadi you think 1.0 better lah. Try to paraphrase back to confirm. Okay, be careful. use minimal encourages. For example, okay, selalu gunakan orang kata apa, kata galakan yang minimum. Okay, tell me more. Oh really, go on. Okay, I'm with you. Oh, then what happened? I see. Ataupun you can do it in forms of non-verbal minimal encourages. For example, you're raising your eyebrow, right? You're nodding your head, right? Widen your eyes, okay? Hand gestures, okay? Your tone of voice. Those are also some of non-verbal kind of minimal encourages, all right? And then don't forget to express support, all right? Even if we do not support the content or ideas expressed. Contoh benda tu kita tak setuju, kita puji lah dulu sikit. This is good. This is a good idea. I think it will work very well if we are driving in the mud. But right now we are talking about driving on the perfect road. So I think so rather than just straight away condemning, okay, pujilah dulu ataupun give space to the person to explain first. Okay. Alright, social media and listening sometimes nowadays social media does require listening. Okay, sekarang ni kita dah ada Facebook Live, Instagram Live, apa lagi? Main TikTok, things like that, alright? They require us to listen as well to our viewers, alright, and also live kind of chatting, okay? WhatsApp sendiri pun sekarang dah ada voice note kita boleh hantar, okay? And then social media can distract us from effective listening. However, alright, when we communicate ataupun when we listen through social media, biasalah main TikTok ke apa, Facebook Live semua ni, ada pasanglah background muzik kuat-kuat ataupun kita kadang tak filter the noise, kita tak macam tak adalah kita nak work hard to make our room to be soundproof, something like that. So sometimes it can be quite distracting, alright. Critical thinking is important when using social media. So when we listen to information in social media, alright, please always apply critical thinking because sometimes the information in there are not filtered. Okay, sometimes benda tak betul. So always be critical in selecting or listening to the information, alright, that you receive from social media. Alright. And of course, guideline for effective listening, be mindful, okay, adapt listening appropriately, alright, and of course, listen actively. From this particular picture, for example, we can see a father or a brother or an adult talking to a children over there, talking to a child over there, alright. So he is trying to adapt, alright, to the person, to the children's speech, ataupun sometimes budak-budak ni cakap pun tak pernah betul, so you tend to ask, so betul adik-adik, so adik suka apa, adik suka apple ke, suka nanas, for example. So rephrase back and show a lot of interest. Okay. Alright, I think that's all for today's topic. Okay. Not much actually, sikit je ini, 12 slides only, okay, because I think listening is something which is very common in our life. So, but then from now on, all right, when we listen, okay, all right, please be more mindful and also try to be aware of the obstacles, okay. Try to be aware of the obstacles. It can be external, it can also be internal. Sometimes benda-benda yang macam preoccupation ke, prejudgment ke, all right, we are reacting to emotionally loaded language always happen in our life. Okay, tapi kita tak sedar. So afterwards, alright, if you think that when you come back in a very exhausting kind of feeling, balik letih, tak ada mood nak cakap dengan orang, take your time, alright, talk to your partner, give me some time to shower and also settle down, pray first, and then I'll get back to our conversation. For example, benda boleh bincang, macam tu. Okay, alright. Any question on today's topic before I move on explaining on your first assignment? Ada soalan ke? Saya rasa tak ada kot kan? Okay je kan?
No.
No, alright, thank you very much. Okay, let's move. Yes, please, Mr. Azwan.
Ya, Pak. So dalam slide tadi,
Okay.
ada yang pasal mana? Literal listening.
Literal listening. Mana? Okay, literal listening. Okay.
Yang literal listening ni,
Okay.
macam mana? Biasa, bos-bos dia akan berhadapan dengan pekerja yang selalu bagi alasan sakit ke apa semua.
Okay.
Jadi ada bos yang gunakan teknik literal listening ni. Betul ke?
Betul. Sometimes kalau kena dengan pekerja yang kita dah tahu not being ethical lah in their work ethics ni, orang kata kan. So dia pun macam tak emotionally communicate ataupun dia dalam kata erti kata bahasa pasarnya macam tak layan sangatlah. Okay, nak MC 2 hari boleh lah, cukup lah kan. Balik makan panadol lega lah tu, something like that. Alright, so this is always applicable to your working environment. Alright, sometimes kalau ada bos yang very attentive, nak pula kita ni pekerja yang sangat bagus, okay ke, you nak saya hantar pergi klinik ke, nak I call ambulance ke, ambulance pula, nak I panggil doktor datang office to check on you ke, something like that. Alright, so when literal listening happen, okay, kita akan ignore, alright, this kind of relationship kind of connection ni. Kita akan tend to be more straight to the point. Okay, apa penting sekarang ni, nak MC sebab apa sakit, okay, that's it. Alright, so in working environment, this particular form of listening sometimes happen, alright, but sometimes kadang-kadang ada bos yang sangat baik, okay, dia akan try to be attentive to all of their workers, especially kalau dalam working environment yang not that big lah. Kalau working environment yang sangat besar, dia seorang kena jaga banyak-banyak orang, macam-macam perangai. So sometimes dia akan jadi a bit of like pilih kasih jugalah sebenarnya, depending on how we reacted or how we behave in our organisation. Thank you for sharing your experience, Encik Azwan. Okay. Alright, I'm going to share to you your assignment. Okay, so your assignment will be embedded in here. Alright, okay. This is the first assignment. If you go through your, what you call that, eCampus, okay. You go through eCampus. Let me show you your view. Right, student. No. Get down. Okay. Alright, sorry, okay. Alright, so your assignment will actually be in here, week 9. Alright, why do I put it in week 9? Because the duration of assignment is 2 weeks. Alright, so I'm going to give you 2 weeks to complete your assignment. Alright, beginning from this week. So this is 2nd of December. So you have until 9 until 16. So 2 weeks time to complete your assignment. Okay, so you can find the slide for today embedded in here. Alright, and later on I'm going to upload the whole lecture video in here as well. Alright, and then assignment is here. You just click on the assignment, okay, and then you can find the instruction for the assignment in here. I'm going to show it to you later. Alright, when you want to submit your assignment, because this is a pre-recorded presentation, okay, meaning that you will record your assignment, upload it on YouTube, and you will just have to submit the link. Okay, tak payah submit the whole video, upload the whole video in here. Okay, just submit the link in here, paste saja apa-apa. Contohlah kan, YouTube link for example. Alright, so assignment, just paste over here. Alright, just put your name lah. Okay, Assalamualaikum, my name is Hazwan, for example, metric number, and then just paste the link over there. So I'm gonna watch the whole video based on the link provided in here. Okay, alright. So the assignment, the question that you will have to do is presentation. Okay, and then assignment 1. Alright, so this is an assignment consisting of 35% of your ongoing marks. Okay, alright, I'm not going to read you everything. So it requires you to explain multiple communication strategy and behavior for professional setting. So you will have to analyze the question provided by using suitable communication technique or guidelines that we have learned, okay, from chapter 1 until chapter 6 up until now. Alright, so record 2 video of yourself presenting the analysis of each question. So actually you will only have to record only 1 video. Okay, record 1 video saja yang ada 2 situation. Maknanya saya ada 2 soalan over here, but then you can record it in one shot, ataupun nak lagi mudah, record it separately. Alright, so upload your video on YouTube and share the link via eCampus submission. So the length of the video is, it can be 5 to 8 minutes, tak lama pun. Okay, 5 to 8 minutes. Kadang-kadang kita rasa, lamanya 8 minit, lamanya 7 minit. 8 minit, 7 minit sekejap je sebenarnya actually. Sometimes some of my previous students, they will go up to 10 to 15 minutes. Okay lah, saya accept je. Tapi janganlah sampai setengah jam. Letih lah saya nak tengok. Alright, okay. So submission is due on 16th of December. Alright, so you will be marked, okay, 50% for part A, 15, sorry, and 20% for part B, okay. And alright, again the guideline. Okay, what you will have to do is, okay, you are required to conduct an interview with your friends. Pilih-pilih, is either friend, colleague, partner, family member, wife, husband, girlfriend, apa lagi, best friend, scandal, ikutlah, up to you, anyone. Alright, okay. So in that interview, explain to them what is an artifact and the role of artifact in their life. Right. Ingat tak artifact apa? Anyone, can you recall what is actually an artifact? Anyone remember? Artifact in chapter 5, World Beyond Words. Okay, later on you go back to chapter 5. Okay, slide chapter 5 and then alright, try to find the term artifact. Alright. Artifact ni basically is something that represents you, ataupun sesuatu objek ataupun sesuatu benda tu that that I'm not going to say you cannot live without, but kind of very important for you. Okay, for example, some of you, kalau budak-budak dia ada dia punya bantal busuk ke, botol susu ke, kalau you dah grow up a bit, okay, sometimes your mobile phone. Okay, bukannya nak kata kita obses dengan mobile phone kita ni, tapi sometimes setengah orang tu dia ada dua phone, satu phone tu dia akan always tukar, tapi satu phone ni dia ada sentimental value yang dia akan simpan sampai bila-bila. For example, contoh pemberian mak ayah, arwah ayah ke, arwah mak ke, contoh husband bagi ke, girlfriend bagi ke, for example. Okay, sometimes kita akan ada this one pair of shoes yang kita akan selalu pakai. For example, kita kalau shoes ni pecah ke, soyok ke, apa ke, repair. Right, we will never get rid of that particular thing. So that is an artifact. Sometimes watches. Okay, sometimes something that you put in your office. Contoh ada satu pokok cactus. So whenever you switch job ke, pindah ke, apa ke, this particular pokok cactus will always follow you. Ataupun frame gambar yang ada gambar arwah ayah ke arwah mak, for example. So ask them, alright, explain to them what is an artifact, alright, and then you analyze the artifact and environment of their room or working space or workstation. Okay, so ask them, alright, where do you place this artifact? Kat mana dia letak artifact ni? Bilik ke, bilik tidur ke, tempat kerja ke, okay, dalam kereta ke, it can be anything. Alright, and then what do this non-verbal communicate about who they are? Because artifact ni considered as non-verbal cues that communicate to people about who you are. For example, kita ni seorang yang suka kasut, for example kan. It doesn't have to be, maksud saya kat sini bukannya artifact tu satu benda tu yang kita stick saja, tapi kita sangat suka kasut, kita ada banyak kasut, okay, we will keep. Tapi kasut ni kita, orang akan tahu yang kita ni, bila orang tengok je, dia ni minat kasut ni, tengok hari ni kasut Adidas, esok Nike, esok Puma pula. So this thing represents that we are a very, let's say kalau kasut kita tu very sporty, funky, orang tahu kalau pakai kasut putih ni dia mesti old school punya jiwa ni. Kalau suka pakai kasut kulit ni, ni jenis very neat, very kemas, very professional. Kalau suka pakai loafer, ni jenis yang doesn't like to waste time, suka sarung je jalan, for example. Jenis suka pakai high heels or elegant. Jenis suka pakai flat kind of heels, okay. Orang cakap apa? On the run kind of person. Okay, nak cepat-cepat, tak nak jalan terjekit-jekit, tak nak slow, something like that. Alright. So try to ask them, what does this non-verbal artifact communicate about you? Apa benda-benda ni represent about you? Alright. And then how does their present, macam mana kehadiran artifact-artifact ni affect their feeling of comfort? Kalau ada kasut ni rasa macam mana? Kalau tak ada rasa macam mana? How does it related to your identity? Contoh kalau sebagai cikgu, handbag ni kena satu colour dengan tudung lah, for example kan, contoh kena pakai comel-comel. Kalau kita tak ikut benda ni, is it gonna affect your identity as a teacher, for example, and also your security. Kadang-kadang setengah orang contoh suka perfume, kalau tak ada perfume sudah, aku tertinggal ada perfume. Kalau phone tu macam dah typical sangat dah kan, always we gonna bring our phone. Alright, contoh 1 jam ni, alamak tertinggal dah jam, lupa pakai dah, tak boleh, pening dah, pening, pening, tak ada jam sebab dah biasa sangat pakai jam, for example. Alright, so how does alright, what would be different if all of their personal artifact disappear? Apa akan jadi kalau artifact-artifact ni hilang? Tak ada. Suddenly daripada seorang pengumpul sneakers dah tak kumpul sneaker. Alright, will it be different to you? Ataupun setengah orang dia ada experience di mana dia dah stop collecting something. How does you feel about that? Contoh ada orang suka kumpul mainan, kumpul Hot Wheels lah, for example. Saya suka Hot Wheels, saya ada few Hot Wheels. Once you stop, apa perasaan you? Stop to the extent that you sold all of your collection ke ataupun macam mana? Alright, try to get their responses based on this question, alright, for number 1, okay? And then for part 2, mindful listening, you are required to conduct an interview again with your friend, the same person, yang tukar orang, okay? Reflect on the time when they wish they would have really listened. Okay, how was not listening effectively during that time affected their life? What did they learn from that experience, and why was it important to listen in that situation? So ask them, alright, is there any moment that you should have actually listened? Ada ke tak masa-masa tertentu tu sebenarnya something important was trying to be conveyed to you. Benda tu kita dah cakap dah. Mak dah bagi tahu dah, jangan for example, mak dah bagi tahu dah, jangan apa benda yang tak sensitif sangat saya pun nak cakap jangan kahwin dengan dia ni, tapi sensitif sikit tu. Mak dah beritahu dah, jangan beli rumah kat sini, banjir, tak nak dengar. So reflect on that particular situation where your friend over here should have listened to the mom, for example. Okay, kenapa how was not listening effectively during that time affected dia lah. Kenapa that moment yang dia tak dengar cakap orang ataupun dia tak dengar information tu telah mempengaruhi hidup dia sekarang. Because of that situation sekarang ni, bulan 12 dia siap lah, ready lah banjir. Siap lah, angkatlah TV ke peti sejuk ke apa, letak atas table top, letak atas sofa, letak atas katil, tahu dah air masuk, for example. Alright, what did they learn from that experience? Alright, from that particular experience, saya tahu lepas ni simpan duit tambah 2 tingkat, everything will be put upstairs, for example. Okay, why was it important to listen in that situation? It is very important because maybe let's say your mom have experience, familiar with that place. Ayah kita dah tahu tanah ni mendap macam mana, kita tak dengar sebab rumah cantik, kontraktor bagi harga murah, for example, tapi tak cakap banjir. For example, kita pun dah tertipu dan terpaksa menanggung this kind of effect, kesan-kesan buruk ni for the rest of our life. Yelah dah sign loan 30 tahunan, nak lari pun susah, nak cari new buyer pun susah. Okay? Alright, any question on the assignment? It's actually a very fun assignment lah. So try to get someone that will cooperate to you. Kawan-kawan rapat ke, tanya wife ke husband ke, boleh lah, okay lah. Janganlah tanya anak 2-3 tahun pula kan, they cannot reflect on this. Okay, try to get their reflection on this question.
Sir.
Yes sir, yes. Jazwan.
Sir, interview should in English or?
Okay, alright, okay. Alright, are you comfortable if you do it in English? Will you be comfortable of doing it in English? Okay, apa kata saya cadang you do it in dua language, campur-campur sikit. Boleh ke? Can we do that?
Okay, sir.
Right,
Boleh.
Maybe you ask the question in English and then you explain to them back in Malay pun boleh. Alright, so when they reflect to you, let's say tell them, okay, you can either you can use English or Malay, or you can use both, for example lah. So kalau dia memang comfortable with doing it in Malay, just follow their way, kita adapt to their communication. Alright, and then for your part, okay, ask the question in English and then paraphrase it back in Malay bagi dia understand. Okay, dia tak adalah nampak the whole process tu macam full pada Malay, full pada English saja. Because I do know sometimes ada yang because our people in Malaysia ni sebenarnya we are not that bad in English compared to if you go to Thailand ke, for example, if you go to China ke kan, to the extent that dia orang memang tak faham langsung. Tapi in our context sebenarnya pelajar-pelajar saya lah, for example lah, saya ambil contoh, faham je kita cakap apa, instruction are given very clear, they understand. It's just that they don't know how to reply ataupun they don't know how to give expression, they don't know how to respond. Sebab apa? Whatever that comes, alright, they will process them, alright, process them, comes in English, process in Malay, alright, whatever to reply, process in Malay first, and then mulalah cari nak reply in English. That will take them some time. So I fully understand the situation, don't worry. Alright, it can be in dual language. Okay, I'm going to show you the scheme of marks, okay, macam mana anda akan dinilai. Okay. Alright, okay, right now, sometimes, okay, I know that some of you might be working from home, alright, so you might be having difficulties in recording. So what I would like to suggest, okay, kalau boleh jumpa, alright, maksudnya kita kena jaga SOP lah, of course, SOP, mask and everything. Kalau boleh jumpa diorang for interview, alright, record them, alright, maybe you can ask another person to record, so that dia nampak macam one session ataupun ada stand ke for example ataupun pandai-pandai lah kita adjust kan. Letak kamera tu nampak the whole session. But then if you are working from home ataupun na'udzubillah lah kena quarantine ke apa something kan, conduct a Google Meet session, okay, buat Google Meet session macam ni, alright, and then sorry mana tadi, alright, and then just record your meeting pun boleh, saya accept, okay, and then when the recording comes, okay, nanti upload dalam YouTube, ambil link, just submit that one, and tu pun boleh, up to you, okay. So I'm not going to say that you have to physically interview, right? The key point over here is for you to get another person's perspective. Okay, kalau boleh jumpa, alhamdulillah, okay, no problem. Kalau tak boleh jumpa, do a Google Meet session like this. Okay, alright. This is how you will be marked. Okay, you're gonna have content, non-verbal communication, and also verbal communication for question 1, of course. And for question 2, ada tambahan sikit untuk flow and organisation. So ni nanti mas je, ini macam free je. Flow and organisation ni, okay. Alright. So please remember, do not deviate too much from the content. Bila interview ni, kita akan, of course lah, dia akan ada benda-benda yang tak related, okay. But then try not to deviate too much, alright. Compress everything within that 7 to 8 minutes, alright. And practice a lot of verbal and non-verbal communication. Janganlah satu tone je. Kita tukar-tukarlah tone sikit. Janganlah straight, tak ada pause, tak ada stop. Tak bagi peluang untuk your friend to speak, for example. Okay. Use a lot of non-verbal gesture. Okay. Show your interest. Okay. Because we have learned about mindful listening. Show interest. Okay. Ask prompting question. Use non-verbal cues. Okay. Pakailah sikit tone. Alright. You're correct. Alright. Very tu, betul tu, saya setuju. Okay. Kalau boleh explain balik, kalau betul ke cik cakap tadi yang cik pernah experience something like that. Alright. So those things will be evaluated. Okay. So tak naklah benda ni macam record buta je lah, macam record macam tu je, habis-habis lah. Tak naklah santai sangat, tapi janganlah terlalu skema. Alright. Make it as if 50-50. 50% of casual and 50% of kind of assignment, professional kind of thing. Okay. Tapi tak ada to the extent sampai kena pakai tie ke apa, tak perlu pun. Doesn't have to be like that. Tapi janganlah bila buat Google Meet sambil pakai telekong ni duk interview. Ataupun letak tawa, macam mana, pernah ke ni, apa benda artifact kau? Janganlah macam tu kan. Pakailah something properly. Alright, as if you are submitting assignment. Macam dulu kita study, kan bila kita buat presentation, kita pakai something yang proper lah, yang okay lah. Smart, okay gitulah kan. Okay, for your assignment. Walaupun tak ada markah sebenarnya untuk attire, tapi still it reflects your non-verbal communication because the way you dress also reflect who you are. Kalau selekeh awak pakai, selekeh lah orang akan anggap awak. Sorry. Bateri pula. Kalau smart kita pakai, smart lah orang akan anggap kita ada impression over there. Okay. Alright, any question on the assignment? Ada apa-apa soalan? Sorry?
Soalan lah.
Macam mana tu? Sorry?
Kita yang tanya soalan.
Ya, kita yang tanya soalan. Kita yang tanya soalan. Okay. Hello, sorry. Tak clear lah. Teacher An, betul-betul lah Teacher An. Sorry. Hello. Alamak, Teacher An. So Teacher An tak ada line lah tu. Hujan lebat ke ni? Hello Teacher An. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry tak dengar. Tak dengar langsung.
Okay. Clear?
Okay.
Okay,
sekarang clear. Okay, alright Teacher An. What was your question?
Untuk part 2 tu, did mention dia macam kita yang tanya soalan. Tapi untuk part 1 tu, macam tak clear. Kita yang respon ataupun kita yang tanya.
Okay, for part 1,
ada yang first part tu.
Ada yang first part tu?
Sebab kan, yang first part tu we have to explain. Then ayat tu what do, so macam yang tu kita pula kena switch, maksudnya switch role lah. Kita yang kena jadi interview ke interviewer yang interviewee.
Alright, okay. Because chapter 6 yang part 2 ni dia clear listening. Okay. Part 1 ni dia about artifact. So kadang-kadang orang akan confuse artifact apa ni? Artifact barang Khazanah nak emas ke, nak setrika buruk ke apa? Bukan macam tu. We have to explain to them. Okay, hari ni let's say lah, okay. Teacher Hans, hari ni saya nak minta tolong sikit interview you about the artifact in your life. Okay, so artifact ni is actually something that you really treasure, alright, something that you care a lot, something yang kalau tak ada tu memang susah lah for you. So try to get them to understand what is an artifact. Alright, so the question will be like this. Okay, then ask them back. Alright, so analyze then the question. Okay, you ask them to tell you about the artifact that they have, maybe in their room, working space ataupun workstation or anywhere. Ataupun you can ask first, alright, what is the artifact that you treasure the most in your life? Wow. Ataupun in your perspective, apa artifact yang you ada ni? Setelah kita explain kat dia artifact ni apa. Yang paling simple pakai contoh budak kecil lah. Budak kecil bantal busuk. Itulah artifact dia, for example. Ataupun orang dewasa yang dia ada 1 jam ataupun yang suka sangat pakai jam, for example. Ataupun suka sangat pakai kasut kelip, for example. So those are the artifacts that represent you. Artifact ni dia represent kita. Dia macam mana cakap, dia ni kita tengok je orang tu dengan artifact tu kita tahu okay, orang ni macam ni. Tengok orang ni asyik pakai baju MU je, minat MU ni, for example. Ataupun tengok orang ni baju dia sikit-sikit contohlah apa, macam sekarang ni orang suka pakai kadang-kadang suka pakai baju Syria lah, pray for Palestine lah apa. Ni orang ni mesti orang cakap orang cakap apa banyak buat charity ke, sebab baju-baju macam ni bila kita beli kadang-kadang dia ada sumbangan sikit kan untuk tabung-tabung ni, for example. Ataupun contoh untuk orang-orang yang orang cakap apa, orang-orang yang alim ke, for example, suka pakai serban ataupun kopiah lah kata kan. Kadang-kadang alamak lupa kopiah, dia pening, dia tak boleh jadi kopiah. That is the artifact, because why? It resemble how devout they are to religion. Ataupun for example, setengah orang dekat rumah dia suka melukis. Okay, dia suka melukis. So for them, sketching board tu is the artifact. So doesn't have to be artifact ni kita bawa ke mana-mana pun sebenarnya. Sebab tu sometimes artifact ni are placed in our workstation, our room ke, our table ke kan, our workstation lah, for example. So it has to be there. Kalau tak ada je, pening kita macam alamat. Macam lucky charm lah. Kalau tak ada je, kita rasa macam this is not my lucky day. Kita tak ada kita punya lucky. Walaupun benda ni tak elok lah sebenarnya kita rasa macam tu kan. Tapi kalau tak ada je, kita susah hati lah. For example, contoh macam saya lah. For example, saya pergi mana-mana, saya mesti bawa saya punya pouch bag. Sebab dalam tu mesti ada semua benda. Kalau saya tertinggal je something, saya tak bawa je pouch bag, macam pergi main futsal ke, for example kan. Saya nak pergi sports lah, saya tak bawa pouch bag tu. Saya akan alamak, pening lah nak letak mana lah wallet ni nanti power bank lagi, phone lagi, kita susah hati lah, something like that. For example. Okay, tapi choose one lah, janganlah explain semua. Janganlah tu ada, tu important, ni pun important. Kalau ada banyak sangat important things, so ask them to choose only one. Okay, ni interview ni macam sembang-sembang je actually. Just to get people to know that there's an artifact in our life that we treasure the most. Sampai orang tak sedar, orang tak tahu pun benda ni sebenarnya penting bagi dia. Dia rasa benda ni biasa je, tapi once benda tu tak ada, dia pening lah. Dia resah lah. Janganlah benda-benda tipikal macam phone ke. Kalau macam dia ada 3 sekupang, for example, itu klasik tu, mungkin pemberian arwah mak ke, arwah mak ayah ke, something yang dia treasure tu mas lah, yang dia akan simpan sampai bila-bila, for example. So these are artifacts. Okay ke, Teacher Ann?
Sir.
Yes, Mr. Azwan.
Kalau yang macam wife saya,
okay,
saya tanya dia artifak dia apa, dia kata buku Nahu.
Buku Nahu. Buku Nahu. Mungkin memang dia, I'm not gonna say cannot live with the book, tapi mungkin dia akan always orang cakap apalah, mungkin tak semestinya buku Nahu yang tu, mungkin apabila dia pergi to bookstores, dia akan more being attentive, akan lebih tertarik nak tengok buku Nahu, for example. Ataupun apa-apa penerbitan yang pasal Nahu tu, dia akan dia get excited, get stimulated lah, akan intrigue, akan rasa macam tak semestinya nak beli, mungkin dia akan rasa macam nak baca ke, nak download ke, nak tengok ke, maybe it can be something like that. Tapi tu very rare tu, minat buku dahulu. Rare tu. Can be something that is very interesting to be explained. Okay, Jazwan.
Okay.
Alright, okay. Alright, ada any question maybe from the rest of the floor?
Rasa dua interview ni boleh kalau orang yang sama pun boleh ke kena?
Saya galakkan orang yang sama. Senang. Better orang yang sama. Alright, so that nanti kita taklah cakap apa receh lah juga kan, nak get people, sometimes it's very hard to get people to cooperate. That's why I prefer someone which is very close to you, can be very open, yang tak kisah dia gonna spend kadang-kadang kita cakap je benda ni 8 minit, can be up until half an hour juga kan. Alright, dia tak kisah spend their experience, being open to you, being mindful to you as well. Okay, so get a good friend, get a colleague, get your partner. Okay, kalau ada anak yang dah besar yang sekolah menengah pun okay juga. Jangan nak tanya adik artifact adik apa, ni patung Barbie. Janganlah 3-4 tahun sekolah rendah tu, janganlah. Okay, alright. Okay kan? Sorry saya cakap banyak. You select lah information yang important.
Okay.
Okay, alright. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, I think that's all from me. Okay, this session are already recorded. Nanti saya akan letak dalam campus. Okay, later on, when your friends ask about question about the assignment, okay, kita try sama-sama to get them understand lah. Anis dengan Cik Jamal tu dia baru sampai, line dia pun tak apa, okay tak apalah, never mind. Anis pula dia tak sihat, dia kira salam kat semua. Okay, so if you got any problem regarding to the assignment, don't forget to text me, kita bincang sama-sama dalam group, anything. Okay, I will be more than happy to help you. Okay, so take this assignment as a very interesting and also fun thing to do. Jangan stress lah, right? Because this is just a recording and presentation kind of assignment. Okay, kenapa saya cakap benda ni presentation? Because you will be presenting the session to me later on in form of YouTube link. Saya akan tengok dan evaluate based on that. Okay, alright. I think that's all for me for today. Thank you very much for attending. So I guess I'll see you again next week. Okay, don't forget to do your assignment, which is due in 2 weeks time. So that's all. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and have a very good night. Okay, bye-bye. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih, sir.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.